Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the On Season. Running a few minutes late here. We had some technical difficulties, but better late than never. We're on air here. We're back. We had a great show yesterday. If anybody didn't catch our Jackson Slater interview, I encourage you guys to check it out. It was awesome. He's a great kid, and hopefully he has a bright NFL future. But the Dolphins have had a busy few days here in free agency. Jason, they just signed somebody. Re-signed somebody that I know we're all not going to be too happy about. We'll get into that. All the guys they signed. Plus, this is a jam-packed show. I'm not kidding. We got the offensive line preview of the draft today. We're tackling, no pun intended, that position today. I think we got about 18 guys we're going to go over, so bear with us. Kick back, grab a cold beverage, put your feet up. We'll do the work for you. Check this out. This is a big show today. But enough of me talking. Let me bring in my partner in crime, Jason Sarney, with his spiffy Dolphins polo. I'm feeling it, bro.
How you doing, George? You know, the weather's getting a little nicer here, so I'm getting like the golf gear ready. I'll wear this to play golf, to do a podcast, either way, you know?
Oh, yeah, Cap for life. What's up, buddy? He's already in the chat. Eichenberg is back. Everybody, please hit that little bell, subscribe. If you're watching anywhere else but YouTube, come on over on YouTube and help support the channel. All right. So let's start with the free agency. I got a little list here I'm going to bring up of the guys we signed. Let's take a look. All right. So here's the list. I didn't add the newly re-signed Liam Eichenberg. I didn't think I wanted to do anybody that kind of displeasure. Liam is re-signed. We won in free agency. Yes. All right. So I guess let's start at the top. Let's start with the quarterback position. I know I had Ben Albright on that free agent frenzy Monday, and he's like, they really like Zach Wilson. I don't know what's going to happen, but they really like him. And 30 minutes later, they signed him. Quarterback too, it looks like. What are your thoughts, Jason, on Zach Wilson signing?
I mean, there's been a lot of quarterbacks who were first-round failures, and this is going to be the third go-around for Zach on his third team. So, as a $6 million or $10 million quarterback, however the money works out eventually when it all plays out this season, to take a flyer on the kid, okay. Am I thrilled by it? Not really, but, kudos to Albright for having that, and kudos to you for having Albright on the show hour or so before that actually happened. So that was pretty cool. And, look, there's an athleticism to the kid. If he needs to play, he's got that toughness to him, so to speak. You can look at a couple of plays in his highlight reel. He could take a hit, get back up, and try to do it again. But we'll see how it shakes out. In a perfect world, we don't see him play.
Right.
So it's a perfect world. But we live in the Dolphins world.
Yeah. The way I look at it is, what did you want? All these guys are kind of the same kind of guy that were out there. Mariota, what do you want? Mac Jones. We had the list, and we'll bring that list up later and kind of see where guys went. But what did you want? This was just a bunch of the same guys. At least you get a guy who's younger, who was a former number 2 pick overall, has arm talent. And I'll tell you what, Albright told me, like, he's in Denver, right? There's nobody more plugged in than Benjamin Albright for the Broncos. And he told me, look, this kid made some strides behind the scenes. And by the end of the season, they really liked what they saw. So, and the coaching tree, the Shanahan tree, loves this kid. So let's see what if we think Mike Daniel is that guy, let's see what he can do. I think this puts him in a position where in the 6th or 7th round, maybe that extra 7th rounder you got in the comp, you can grab a third developmental guy. It's really hard though in this system. The top quarterback takes a ton of the reps, so it's really hard to develop a bunch of guys at once. But yeah, I'm fine with this signing, Zach Wilson.
Yeah, you're right. What it does is probably move any kind of drafted quarterback way into day 3. You just, like you said, the reps.
He's still young,
right?
Kind of like a draftable guy, right?
Exactly. So for the draft purposes, you could really move that position down the trough.
Good evening, everybody in the chat. Thank you, Fins, NJ. Good evening. Yeah. All right, move on to the big offensive line. We've been asking them to sign offensive linemen. By the way, the Zach Wilson deal was what? 1 for 6? Was it 6.5 or 6?
I think it was 6 million, and then I think it can get up to 10 even.
Yeah, one for 6, correct. All right,
Yeah.
the James Daniels signing. That's the one that in a perfect world, healthy, was almost the best fit.
Yeah.
It's a bargain at 3 years, 24 million, but there's a catch, right? And there's going to be that theme with a lot of these guys is injuries. This guy, before he got injured last year, was playing as one of the top 4 or 5 guards in football. He can pass, he can run block. I think his PFF grade was like, if you believe in that, was like he was one of the top 4 guards in football. You're not getting this guy at this price if he didn't get hurt. So I like the chance here. And I'm telling you, this system, this guy, healthy, is a Pro Bowl type player for them. Love this signing. With the risk, love the signing.
I agree. I think it was probably, with the potential, one of their better, if not the best signings in this first wave. Pencil him in at right guard. And it really gives you just one spot to fill on the offensive line. It's left guard. So, but he also has experience at left guard. So if the Dolphins want to draft one of these kids that, and we'll talk about them soon, that are purebred right guard, this is a guy in James Daniels who had played both guards and could do each position well. He even played, I think, center in college. So, good move, very good move if he stays healthy. That's like our slogan, our marketing song, if they stay healthy. But, yeah, if he can stay healthy, it's a great move.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is like he is coming off an Achilles injury. The medicals, I would assume their medical people had checked out, because that's a significant injury. So, but again, you're not getting him at $8 million a year. You're looking at 14, 15 million a year for a player like this. I've always liked James Daniels. I think he's a guy that we all thought would fit well for a couple years now with the Dolphins. So yeah, good move. And you said can go to left guard, can play right guard. Doesn't limit you. You draft a player that maybe you feel. We'll talk about a Tate Rutledge, who's a pure right guard coming up here.
Right.
You draft him. This guy goes to left. So. If things stand right now, and we'll talk about the other guy who's more of a depth signing, this points the finger that they're taking an offensive lineman in the first couple rounds here, because they still got an opening spot left. But I guess that transitions to Larry Borman from the Bears. Kendall Lamb replacement, swing guy. Saw some film on him at left tackle. Wasn't pretty. I actually think you move him inside, there could be something there. But yeah, your swing right tackle, maybe guard, he can play along the line here. And it was fairly cheap.
I'm going to call him a camp body until proves otherwise. He's going to have to earn that spot. I don't think his contract's guaranteed, so it kind of screams, no guarantee here. So let's see what happens in camp. I don't want to pencil him into that swing tackle Kendall Lamb spot just yet. Yeah. But if they draft a kid in day 3, and again, we have guys that we'll talk about who could be swing tackle.
A lot of these guys are tackle guard conversions. A lot of them in this class.
So you want to say that it's nice that they brought in competition in Borum. They brought in a starter in Daniels, but I can't say that he's going to be an absolute home run come week 1.
Yeah. The money on him is not totally out yet. I haven't seen it anywhere. I've looked on Sports Track. I wouldn't imagine it's more than a couple mil a year.
Yeah, I just think it's screams
2.5 or something like that. But again, they need depth. I thought they were gonna lose Robert Jones and Liam Eichenberg, but we'll talk about one of them did come back. But yeah, swing depth piece. That's fine. You need bodies there. I'm fine with it. Yeah. All right, we'll move on to the guy they signed today, the running back, Alexander Matheson. His best days were backing up Dalvin Cook. Last year, he had a career low 3.2 yards a carry. Don't love this player. I never really loved him. I like him. He's okay. He brings that size to the position. By no means, Jason, is he stopping me from drafting one of these bigger backs in round 3, 4, or 5. I think he's I wouldn't say you're Raheem Mostert. I don't think you've had a back like this. Maybe your Jeff Wilson replacement, but I think he's even better than Jeff Wilson. I think he'll be good as short yardage. He's 5'11", 220. Okay signing. I'm not in love with it. I want them to address this position again in the draft, not early, because this draft is loaded at running back, and eventually when we get to that position group, you guys will see. But I'm okay with it. I'm not here. I'm indifferent to the signing.
That's a good way of putting it. This is a guy who's probably going to take that short yardage role on. You know, he did a decent job of converting first downs, picking up just like 2 yards when you need to here or there. So the numbers might not look terrific, but I agree with you. I don't think it will take running back off the board in the draft. Again, they had 11 picks and they have 3 running backs right now, essentially. So, you know, you still got to bring some guys in for camp. I expect them to do that. Madison, you know, if he could be a guy that can consistently pick up 3rd and inches, 4th and 1, you know, when they go for it and you can get a little bit of a push with an offensive line, this will be a good move if he can pick up those first downs when called upon. I like the 2-headed structure with potentially Achane and Jalen Wright being that 2, you know, and who knows what happens if Achane's getting tons of targets as, you know, a receiver again. So let's see how it happens.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on, another weapon on the offensive, as Kenny just mentioned, we'll call him. That's a good way to NWI. Nick Westbrook, and we'll leave the last part of his name out. Yeah, really good player. I was surprised to see he had 9 touchdowns. I remember last year having that long 98-yard touchdown. Seems like an ascending player. Gets deep pretty well. I think it's going to be interesting to see him kind of with the space that Waddle and Hill are going to create. He's a clear upgrade at wide receiver 3, and it was for 2. Was it 2 for 6'5"? I believe, yeah, 2 for 6'5". That's a steal.
Yeah,
I think he's probably their best value signing so far. I like it. It checks a need you don't have to address in the draft. I know, Jason, you like those big wide receivers, and there were some guys you like from Iowa, from the Iowa State kids, Higgins, and some other guys. I like Savion Williams and, you know, McMillan, all these guys. But it doesn't become a need. You don't have to force to pick one. So I like this signing. Arrow up with this player.
I like him. I think he made the most of his receptions. He scored, I believe, 7 touchdowns in the red zone alone. 6 of them, I think, came inside the 10. You know, so I think 9 total touchdowns. But great value. And as a 3rd or 4th receiving option, assuming Tyreek Hill's back, obviously Jalen Waddle, Jonnu Smith. I like the potential of Jonnu Smith and NWI in the RZ, in the red zone. You know, because between them, I think they had a total, you know, whether Jono had 7, he had 6, probably like 13 or 12 inside the 10 touchdowns combined. So if you put those 2 together and with the rest of the talent, Dolphins could be very potent in the red zone, getting 6 points and then your extra points instead of settling for field goals. But they've been pretty solid. But now you bring another guy who could be a red zone threat.
Yeah. And I guess before we get to the defense, let's finish up the offense. They re-signed Liam Eichenberg just a little while ago. I know fans. I'm looking for in the chat for all the like the teary-eyed kind of emojis. But
Twitter's united on something. Finally.
Yeah, fine. Yeah. Look, if we were gonna bring one of them back, it would have been Jones for me. But if you bring in Eichenberg back and don't fall in love with the familiarity and push him back in that starting lineup, that's what concerns me. If you're bringing him back as your 7th, 8th offensive lineman, I'm fine with that. But he's got to accept that role. And you can't get lured into the comfortability you have with him and kind of put him in you draft a young guy, don't block the young guy. That's my concern with Eichenberg. But, boy, I would have moved on, but I guess for a depth piece, as long as he's your 7th or 8th offensive lineman, I guess I could live with it, right?
I mean, sure. Yeah. Again, you know, you still build, you still draft one. If someone beats him in camp, fine. I mean, this is, you know,
it is.
I don't. Sure. Over on Twitter, I think there's a lot of people coping as best as they can. But you know, I'm looking at the offensive line. You know, you want to call him a backup guard, a backup center, a 3rd or 4th string guard. I don't know, but I don't know. You want to see him on the field. That just, frankly.
I think you put it best. Emergency situation. And I mean emergency situation. All right, guys. We'll move on to the defense now. Again, we're breaking down the free agent signings of the Miami Dolphins. We're going to get into the offensive line group in the draft. We got about 18 players lined up for you. Guys, if you're watching anywhere but YouTube, please come on over to YouTube. Help the channel. Takes 1 second to hit that little bell. Like the video. It means a lot to us. For the work we do, it makes us feel like we're doing it for something. I hate asking for it, but it's a necessity. All right. Defensive side of the ball. Safety positions. They signed a couple. Let's start with Melifonwu from the Detroit Lions. I said before free agency starts, actually we both said it, that Greer loves to go in that 2021 draft, those second contracts. And they did that a few times here. And Melifonwu was one of them. I think he was a third-round pick in 21 for the Detroit Lions. A big safety, 6'3", 210. Again, injuries. 23, he was coming on as a player. 24 got hurt not once, but twice, and only played towards the end of the season. Big safety, downhill, can blitz, can play in the box. He's pretty competent in pass coverage too. You only got him for, I think it was $4 million a year on a one-year deal, show me deal. This is a guy, I think, Jason, that if he stays healthy, again, key word, stays healthy, can be a good starter and maybe become like in the Deshaun Elliott role, all of a sudden comes on strong and somebody, you want to look to resign long-term here. But again, like a lot of these guys on the list, it's health is the issue with him.
Agreed. And if he could actually, it's a good competition ground position right now. You re-sign, we'll talk about him, but Elijah Campbell comes back.
Yeah.
You have Patrick McMorris there. You have Ashton Davis, who is the next guy on the list. So there's going to be good competition for who's going to get those spots. And, if Melifonwu could stay healthy, again, you mentioned the size. I like that. If they draft a top-tier safety, that could obviously push him to a depth play. But let's see what they do in the draft. But I'm excited to see the safety battles in camp with this group of 4 or 5 guys.
All right, you want to go on touch on Ashton Davis first?
Yeah, he was a good guy that a lot of Dolphin fans wanted out in the draft initially. Really good athlete, and he's a ball hawk. He's gotten a lot of interceptions versus the amount of time that he started or gotten snap counts because he makes the most out of his his limited starts and when he's on the field. So he can smell the ball. He could do some damage. So again, I think the competition for him and the rest of the depth guys there will be interesting in the summer. So solid signing, not a home run, solid signing. All these are solid signing.
Yeah, he's a guy I know they liked coming out in the 20 draft. And I thought with that pick where they took Raekwon Davis, I thought he was in play there. He's actually a really good athlete. I think he ran like 4.38, 4.3 or something like that his pro day. He was a really good athlete at Cal. Kind of been a part-time starter for the Jets throughout his career. I think he's had about 8 picks through his career. So he's got a nose for the football. I believe he picked off Tyler Huntley twice in January. I have to look that up if my memory serves right.
I think it's definitely one at least.
Yeah, really good special teams player. So is he somebody I'm comfortable as putting in and pegging in as a starter day one? Not really, but you said right now we had nothing at the position besides Patrick McMorris. We re-signed Campbell, who's on that list, and then we also brought in Melifonwu from Detroit, and him now doesn't take you out of the draft, but you're not desperate for that position in the draft. You have 2 guys. If you had the lineup today, you would feel, okay, I'm at least comfortable. They have NFL experience, and there is some upside with both of these guys. They're still in the prime of their career.
Upside, sure. Not so much risk with potentially a nice reward. So not going crazy over the safeties, but if they draft one in the first round, it's warranted. Yeah. I think they definitely address that position in the top 4 of their 11 picks.
Agreed. All right, they re-signed Dotson. Nothing much to kind of say on that. We'll get to Britt last, but Dotson and Campbell, they re-signed both of them. I'm happy they re-signed both, especially Dotson. He really came on a great find for Greer. I mean, I criticized Greer a lot, but it was a really good late pickup at the end of the season. They got Dotson back at a reasonable price, and they brought back Campbell. I'm fine with both of those signings.
I am. I like the fact that they brought back Dotson. He had a terrific last quarter of the year. Great linebacker and coverage as well. So, him and Jordan Brooks as a linebacker tandem, I like that continuity, as they finish strong at the end of the year. He had one bad game, Dotson. But ultimately, I think he earned the new contract. So I'm glad on that. And Campbell is a fantastic gunner, ace, special teamer. So it's good that he will be back, I assume, on that unit. And I would like to see what he could do a little bit more as safety defensively. So, but nice job bringing him back.
Yeah, Finn NJ had a question for you, Jason. Has anybody approached Kohu? I don't know what he means. Kohu's on the roster.
Oh, yeah, because he's got that like right of first.
Oh, yeah. I doubt it.
No, I think he's going to come back as the slot corner.
Yeah. I'm alone. Am I alone? Or I don't like the Dotson. Look, I think it's scary to rely on the little short sample size at the end of the year.
Sure.
But the market was drying up. So they had to bring back. He's familiar with. I agree. I'm not in love with it, Kenny. I agree with you. All right. The last signing, KJ Britt today, basically a swap with Anthony Walker.
Right.
It was basically a 1-for-1 trade almost. Britt, not really good in pass coverage, is a one-dimensional kind of downhill run thumper kind of linebacker, special teamer. He's basically just replacing Walker. I think the most value you're going to get him is really on special teams, Jason.
Special teams units has to improve. If he could, make his bones there, great. They definitely need some guys that'll help both coverage and return units. So, again, you mentioned it. It was a swap with Walker. No big deal.
Yeah.
Another single.
How would you wrap? I mean, still early. There's still going to be guys that are going to be signed. How do you right now look at this group? How do you like it? What do you like or don't like when you see kind of what's your overall thoughts on it?
Just they're playing like small ball. It's like there's no big splashes. There's little dips. There's little. All right, we need a startable guard. Got it. We need a tall receiver. Got it. We need a running back who can maybe pick up a first down on 3rd and inches. Got it. Like, are you guaranteeing that these are the perfect guys for that? No. Look at what you're paying them. You get what you pay for. But I think that they're doing a decent job filling in some of their needs. But there's going to have to be some money that frees up because they're running out of money and they're going to have to sign all of their draft picks still, which is, again, 11 picks right now. So these moves just don't take any position out of the draft. That's what I'm, gathering. It's like you can't say, all right, they're not going to draft a lineman because they drafted a lineman. They haven't addressed cornerback or defensive line, so maybe that pushes those chips ahead in the first 2 picks for one of those positions. Or have we yet to see the big splash? But again, the money's drying up. The cap's becoming an issue. So these, again, the best thing I could say is they're a bunch of singles with varying degrees. One's a bunt, one's a nice shot over the shortstop, and it's a beautiful hit. But they're not extra base hits and home runs.
Maybe they got on second with an error. You know what I mean? Maybe on one of them.
Hey, I'll tell you, if James Daniel is great, we can maybe
that's a home run.
Maybe he stole second by week 7, 8, 9, and then he's advancing to third by Thanksgiving.
And somebody got an RBI single.
And we're mixing up sports, but whatever. Yeah. We're having fun.
Right. I the way I look at it is none of this stuff moves the needle. Right. These are all. I think James Daniels has the potential for the most impact where the team really needs it. But again, like you said, free agency usually tells you the deal where they're going in the draft, right? It gives you an indication. This tells me, though, right now, today, again, this is not over, but this is going to be a line of scrimmage draft and a front 7 defense draft. Okay?
Yes.
And remember last week when we were talking, was it the edges we did last week? Mm-hmm. And we said, hey, don't count this position out. They went for Bosa and Ben Albright. Again, guys, this is not just promoting the show. He didn't just talk about free agency. He's plugged in. He talked about the Dolphins. They're right now focusing more on the front 7 and the back because they believe, and this is a transition from Vic Fangio to Anthony Weaver. Vic Fangio's defense was totally different. This guy believes in the up front is what creates the pressure and it relieves the pressure of your second. You don't need to be as good at the corner position when you got constant pressure up front. He believes it all starts up front. So don't rule out defensive tackle. Don't rule out edge, a Shamar Stewart, a Kenneth Grant, a Mason Graham if he falls. That's what it tells me. Corner, Barron, or Will Johnson, and offensive line. You still have one hole. We addressed offensive line with 2 guys, but we still have one glaring starting guard position hole. So, and that might be a good time here to transition. I want to bring up, you remember we made the wish list here? We made the wish list. It's dressed up now with some results. Look at the offensive line. What stands out? 2 guys there, untouched. Jason, you're on mute.
Oh, almost got out of there. You could put Jenkins at left guard. That would be great. Again, Becton, with him moving at guard. This is a lot of money. Again, we have to find a way to free up some money if these are the guys that they might bring in. But I do think that they're going to, if there's a splash, it's top 50 pick splash at guard. And that could transition, of course, to the rookies that we're going to talk about, the prospects that we're going to talk about. But this is too much money after seeing the little monies spent, and it's piled up to get a double-digit, lineman.
Hey, we were right on with the annual for Daniels. 8 to 9.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that was fine.
Yeah, a lot of these they got way overpriced when we project. And again, we went on sports track projections, and they usually tend to be a little conservative. But yeah, the James Daniel thing, because Aaron Banks got way more than that per year. I mean, he got close to the 20 mil mark. But yeah, if you could sign Jenkins or Becton, remember the first wave is gone. They haven't signed, so maybe their market wasn't what they thought it was going to be. And we got to talk about, they got to restructure something here. So we got to talk about, are you doing Tua? You can create up to 19 million, or maybe I saw today a Sealer and a Brooks can free you up maybe 11 on a restructure. Which direction? Because they got to do something, especially if they want to make a move, another offensive line move or a corner move that is of any significance. What direction would you lean toward, Jason?
I mean, I don't know about restructuring the Tua contract that can create too many future headaches. The 19 million is appealing now, but you don't want to kind of be a drunk person spending in a supermarket with a credit card. You're just going crazy. Like that contract, you probably want to leave it alone. So I would probably say extend Sealer or restructure that, create money that way. Brooks, fine, but I wouldn't touch the Tua contract.
Yeah. Agree with you. I wouldn't touch that. The injury, the durability and injury stuff, let it be. We need to get out of that as soon as possible because unfortunately, I just don't know if he's ever going to be able to stay healthy. I don't mind the Sealer Brooks stuff because those are two guys I can see. You don't want to touch contracts only of guys you feel you're going to be with your franchise for the next 2 or 3 years. Sealer definitely, and it looks like Brooks is on the right track. So I wouldn't have a problem going there. But yeah. So I would love to get a Jenkins. I wanted them to attack the offensive line position, kind of like how the Bears are doing it. I'm still not satisfied. Even with the draft, I want them to continue to tackle this with another veteran. I would love for them to add one of these two guys, but we'll see. Let's go on to the other position just quickly. We had safeties. None of my guys we got, man. Cisco went 1 year, 10 million to right where I had him to the Jets. We ended up getting those other two guys. Wasn't on our list. Cornerback, another need. There's one guy sitting out there. I know he visited. Who was it? He visited today. Was it the Cardinals? Asante Samuel had a visit. That's a guy you would restructure for. That's the type of player that's left. Asante Samuel Jr. Really the only one I'm looking at that's left.
Yeah, he would have been a quote unquote big splash. I think, he'd been in that category. The Dolphins you never know. They could trade for a cornerback that could be dangled on the market, But right now it looks like they're going to use the draft whenever to bring another cornerback. They're going to have to bring another cornerback. Yeah. You have obviously Jalen Ramsey, but on the opposite side of him, do you rely on Cam Smith? Do you rely on Storm Duck? I don't think so. And again, if Kader Kohu is going to come back, he'll settle in at the slot. You need to draft a cornerback, and I don't think they're done at that position. But let's see what happens in the next couple of days, weeks leading to the draft.
Yeah, in the last positions we had quarterback, we got our guy Zach Wilson. We had him on the list. Only one left is Lance. Running backs, we didn't have Matheson on our wish list, but some guys I would have loved an AJ Dillon, but or I would really love Najee Harris would have been real nice, but he went for that 10 million mark that we had. And then the linebackers, we re-signed Dotson. So yeah, we didn't too bad on our predictions. But again, I think the draft. This leads me to believe they have to hit a home run in the draft. They're, Jason, they got to hit a home run in the draft. And you know what it comes down to? Their best players are already on their team. They got to stay healthy. I mean, I don't think we should expect them to sign a 20-plus, a Milton Williams or anything like that. They were going to get depth pieces. Their best guys are on their roster, and they got to have a home run draft, Jason.
I mean, it's extremely important, make or break for Greer and what he puts on the field for McDaniel. These are make or break situations for both of them. So when you're looking at what they've done, when you're looking at what they might have at number 13, they're going to probably have to go with the biggest no-brainer pick. It might be a defensive lineman. It might be the absolute best player, even if it's an edge player.
Yeah.
You know, you might just have
Shamar
to get
Stewart.
right. Shamar Stewart, exactly right. You know, is it a Kenneth Grant? Is it a Walter Nolan? Or do they go with Will Johnson if he falls down to 13? You know, trading back, yeah, ideally it would be great to trade back, get your guy, and pick up a pick in the 60 to 95 range or whatever it would be. But that's tough to predict, tough to hope for. And we're going to talk about offensive linemen. Is 13 the right spot to go up and get a guy who you might play at guard? That's not in his or the NFL's MO, but yet these guards are getting paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a trend that, I don't know what guard you want to start with.
Yeah,
but
we'll start and I like Finn NJ's idea. Too many holes, trade back, because we'll talk about it. There's only a couple guys I like at 13. If not, I'm not taking anybody. So we'll jump into the line. Before we do, everybody come on over to YouTube, hit that, smash that little bell, subscribe, like the channel. We really appreciate it, guys. We got over 60 people watching on YouTube and on X. Please come on over, hit that, and let's get into the draft. The offensive line. You ready? I know this is one we've been waiting for.
Listen, there's 4 out of the 5 that I think Dolphin fans can be like, all right, we're okay at these positions, but they need to find that left guard, or if it's a right guard, move James Daniels to left, whatever. But they need another interior. There are some tackles that could be converted. Here's one.
All right, should we start?
Rock and roll.
I guess I'll start. First guy, Will Campbell. I know. Hot take report. He's not my number 1 offensive lineman in this draft. It's the guy we're going to get to next. But Will Campbell, what's not to like about it? Clean prospect. He's not this. There's misperception out there. Who's this he's not a Jonathan Ogden, Tony Baselli type prospect. He's on that tier down or 2 tiers below. He's real clean, solid, good athlete. I know some people with the arm length had issues. They wanted to move him inside. Not for me. I think he stays at tackle. He can slide, redirect with ease. Great technician. Just in the pass pro, he's got good punch, agility. I mean, he's just clean. I watched some games versus Texas A&M again. A bunch of those 3 guys are going to be drafted in the top 64. He did real well against Scorton, against Shamar Stewart, against Shamar Turner. He's played against all the big competition. I like this kid. Don't love him. He's not a generational prospect, but you start looking at 4 with the Patriots. They're a kind of team that would like this kind of player. But just a real clean prospect, solid, good character, and a real good technician and a lot of experience at left tackle. I keep him out of tackle. I don't know about you, Jason.
If you're talking about him with the Dolphins, if he fits on the Dolphins, it probably would be interior, because you got either Patrick Paul or Teron Armstead. We'll wonder what happens with Armstead if he comes back or not. Patrick Paul, you're penciling at left tackle. You have Austin Jackson at right tackle. So if you bring in Campbell, I don't necessarily know if you slide Austin Jackson back to guard and have Campbell play right tackle. So if he's the Dolphins pick at 13, my assumption would be to move him in at left guard. The 32-inch arms, little arm length issue, fine. But look, if you could put him at guard and that you could literally just green light your 5 offensive line, and then you have 10 draft picks left, that's not a bad move. I don't think ultimately he will be there at 13. But if he was a Dolphin, I think he would be inside.
He's one of the 2 guys I would take at 13. If you really want to see him play, put on the 2023 Alabama versus Dallas Turner. I always look at you can watch the Rice games. Don't waste your time. Look at it against guys like Penn State. There was a bunch of Abdul Carter film this year. It was rare against a lot of these type of tackles. Just put on the Penn State game. Right? Look how they do against Abdul Carter. And we'll mention that a few times here. But the thing that his weakness is, when guys like Shamar Stewart Scorton gave him some problems when they convert that speed to power. He can get pushed in the pocket. He's not, he's got good power, but he's not the strongest guy in the world. And his arm length works against him. These longer arm defenders are able to kind of get their hands in their chest first, and it kind of makes him lose leverage. But he's real clean. If you're a team and you have one of these young quarterbacks, you want to start with, if you're the Patriots with Drake May, you can feel comfortable putting him as the anchor at left tackle. Just solid prospect. All right, let's move on to who is my number one offensive lineman in this draft. Okay, and don't be surprised, folks, if this guy goes ahead of Will Campbell. All right, so you want to start with Mimba or you want me to go?
Knock it out of the park is your guy.
Right, so there's absolutely nothing not to like about him. Okay, great athlete, great. Look who he ran in the 40, and that matched what he did at the combine, 4.91. Unbelievable athlete. You know, when we say hold anchor and like dips their hips, watch a lineman. When you watch a lineman, look how he bends his knees and kind of how he holds up against the point of attack, and that'll tell you his core strength and his ability to kind of hold anchor. And this guy is great at it. I think he gave up no sacks and 8 pressures last year playing. Now, he did play right tackle, right? So the question is he going to be a full-time starter at right tackle? I think he can move over to left. Heck, if you want, you could even put him at guard, right? Because he doesn't have he's 332, and he doesn't have the strongest, the longest arms in the world. He's 6'4", 332. So he almost has a guard build, but he's just a mammoth, unbelievable athlete. Just everything, body control, power, great hand placement, can block in the wide zone, in space. I mean, just if this guy is there at 13 and they don't take him, I don't know what I'll do. I'll put out a video of me breaking something because that's the kind of level of anger I will have. Yes, DSG, I'm a fan club of Membo. Yes, and I'm a card holding member, and no problem with that.
He has probably been the biggest riser of really the first rounders. Earlier mock drafts before the Senior Bowl, he was in the late first round. Now he's in top 10 conversation. Great freak athlete, great traits. And I do think another potential, if you're talking Dolphins, you move him to right guard and then move Daniels to left guard. Right. If that's the familiar side. Because again, the tackle scenario, you have 2 tackles already. You have 3 tackles, if you want to include Teron Armstead. So if Membo's the guy, I'd be intrigued if they put him at one of the guard spots. If James Daniels is going to be the right, do you move him to left, Membo at left guard? So it's very interesting if they would take him, but I move him inside too.
Yeah, I long term I keep him outside, but year one, like Tunsil, you want to move him inside?
That's a good example.
Yeah, that's fine. And guess what? These tackle guard conversions, like we're not sure about Patrick Paul yet. Like, you know what I mean? Like this guy's probably I'm telling you, he comes in day one. He's probably one of your top 2 offensive linemen on the team. He's that good. Well, at least I believe he's that good, right? So he's my number 1 guy. I think the league circles, a lot of people have him over Campbell, and don't be surprised. I mean, I could see a team like the Patriots going for more of a Will Campbell, more safe, kind of solid, clean, good character kind of kid. A lot of experience at left tackle. They might want to go with the more pure left tackle. But as far as best offensive lineman, they don't get any better than Armand Membo. All right, moving on.
Let's do it.
And that ends the list of the 2 guys I would take at 13. That ends the list for me.
Okay.
Now,
fair enough.
We want to trade back. That's fine, and we'll get into your to that Greg Zabel kid in a few. But that ends the list. So for me, it's got to be a trade back option, or we go defensive line or something else. Okay, you want to start with Kelvin?
He was a kid that a lot of people were putting in as the 13th pick, right before the combine, right after the Senior Bowl and the Shrine Game, after all those evaluations. But, he's a terrific tackle, hasn't played much guard, but I think he can play guard. So, again, if you look at a Dolphins-centric analysis at number 13, I would hope that he would put him in that Tunsil rule. Play guard as a rookie. And then if there's an opportunity to move him to the natural tackle spot, see what happens with your other guys in Jackson and Paul, fine. But he's going to be a great pro, I think. I don't know that the Dolphins go that way, but I would think that he would need to be a guard transition if he was drafted to the Dolphins.
Yeah, so I wrote down on my notes. For some reason, you can't see my notes when I put them up on because my green screen, but like I have notebooks filled. So anybody who doesn't really, I'll take a picture of it one day, the notes and the things I write down, the time I put on this. But I wrote guard for me. He's a guard. I don't like him at tackle at all. I'm not as high on him as the rest. Well, I don't know. The league and the draft media or the draft critics, like I guess we're one of them, like have a lot of times have two different opinions. And when like a guy gets drafted in the second round, you thought he was going like top 20. That's not he didn't fall. That's where the league had him. And we just didn't know, right? Like, because we're not privy to all the information. You know, I've always said, imagine if you were the GM and you like a kid, but you end up meeting him face to face. He just rubs you the wrong way. So, I mean, that maybe that's why you don't draft him, right? Like, there's a lot of things that go into it. We're not privy to all that. To me, he's a guard. A lot of the times that I watch him, his feet would get crossed up. The hand placement would be wide. He moves well in space, right? So I could get where he could excel in the run blocking. Again, if he moved into guard, some of my concerns that I would have about him probably would go away, but not at number 13. Back end of the first round, you want to trade back. Sometimes you watch a player and you just get a feel about him that you just something you don't like. And there's something I can't put my finger on with him, just not as high in him. I could see they'd be into this kind of player at 13, but not for me, man. He's just not for me. But look, don't listen to me because I said last year I didn't think they'd draft Chop Robinson, and they did.
Again, it would be intriguing to me, in one of those trade back, be able to get him still and pick up another pick. That would be great. You trade back to 25, 23.
Yeah.
He's your guy, and then you're still able to pick up a pick. That would be a very smart move. But at 13, you're right. While I was initially on him early,
because
a lot of things happened.
A lot of people were mocking him to the Dolphins at 13.
Right, correct.
And that's fine, but the thing we got to do and what we do on this show is we don't go along with groupthink, right? We do our homework and we do what we think, and we're not always right. We're going to be wrong a lot of the times, but I'm not somebody who likes to do groupthink. I like to kind of form my own opinion, and if I'm wrong, at least I stand out and I put the work in, and I know you're the same way, Jason. So that's what I like about us as a duo. That's why you need to come on our show. That's why you need to follow our show and hit that little bell button on the on season here. All right, move on to the next guy. And thank you for that comment, DSG. Yes, I am passionate about this. Anybody who doesn't know me, I got into football in the draft since I was about 11 years old, and I watched it for now. I don't want to give my age, but it's over 20 years, over 25 years following it and doing this. And it just now when I just put it on YouTube, I appreciate that because it's something I am very passionate about. And I think anybody who does this, you got to do it with passion, or you're not going to be able to sustain it because there's a lot of hard work behind the scenes. All right, enough of that junk. Let's get into more prospects. All right, next guy. Okay, I'm going to start with him because I really watched him. And another thing that happens a lot is when you watch one player, another player catches your eye. When I was going on Donovan Jackson's tape, who we'll talk about here later on, who's the guard who played a lot of left guard next to him, he kept jumping out. Just the fluid. I mean, he has maybe the best slide and lateral quickness in this class. All right, he's a pure left tackle. One of the few guys that is a pure left tackle in this class. His movement skills and lateral quickness and pass pro and his blocking in space and on the screen is impressive. Now, here's the thing. He missed 6 games last year, right? He had a big knee injury, right? And I think this guy was well on his way of going in the top half of the first round or top 10 if he was healthy. I'm telling you right now, if the medicals check out, you get this guy in the building with the right coaching, you could have a guy you look back on and say, he's my starting left tackle for 10 years, and I got him at pick 24. And he could go higher or he could go later. He's a guy, I wouldn't be shocked goes 11 or he goes 31. I don't know. It depends. That we don't have the medicals on, and we can't determine that without the medicals. But his ability, it's hard to find guys like this that can mirror alignment and to move their feet like him. It's the medicals here with him.
1,000%. He was pacing last year before he got hurt. He had no quarterback pressures allowed, no penalties. So if he played a full season, no medicals to worry about, he probably is the first lineman that we're talking about. So someone's going to get a gem in Simmons. And it was just a shame that he went down like midway through the year. He was playing top end ball.
Like if you're asking me, the Dolphins took him at 13. Yeah, I know people would hate it, but like he's your starter over Patrick Paul. Like that's just the bottom line.
The problem with that is only that you don't. I don't know that you can move Paul inside.
Yeah, you can't do much with Paul. Paul's either a left tackle or right tackle.
And then you'd have to move Jackson inside again. Yeah. So there are guys that dream that chance, but Simmons, I think we're going to watch play somewhere else.
Like Philadelphia will take him or somebody like that.
Right.
Yeah,
that's what's going to happen.
I think the guy we end up taking, Jason, is a guy who's definitely one of these tackle conversion players. Because, look, the class alone on guards is not great. But when you add in these tackles, there's not many pure tackles that can play guard. The group becomes magnified and better. And you're seeing that. We're kind of going through the tackles now, but some of these guys are going to be guards, and we'll get to more of the pure guards in a bit. All right. Just elite foot speed and movement ability. Okay. Interesting player. This guy, he's a target for me for the Dolphins, and I'll tell you why. Let me get to my I want to get to my report here because I wrote a couple of notes about him. I put Dolphins target at 48, and why? Minnesota runs a ton of outside zone, and this guy clears lanes in the outside zone. I want you guys to go watch the Minnesota tape. Like, find it on YouTube, right? You don't have to get all 22. The way he kind of plays long and clears out, and is such a good athlete at his size. I mean, 6'6", 331, just almost ran the sub-5 in the 40. He's a guy who I would take at 48. If I have to play him a little guard, that's fine. But again, we mentioned Patrick Paul insurance. You have him right here. I know the Dolphins probably like this kid. The makeup and where he kind of fits. You've seen it on tape. What are your thoughts on Arante Erzabay, Jason?
A dog run blocker in a system that could benefit the Dolphins especially you get out in space. Absolutely. Again, one of those interesting guys where he could fit the need if you move some other pieces around because he's that awesome devastating run blocker. So it would be very interesting. He's got great speed as well. So definitely an appealing guy. And as you said, at 48, day 2, if they take care of, a defensive tackle or a cornerback and they go with Ursari in the second round, solid move.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's got issues like the hand timing, all these things. All these guys got issues, but like nothing can't be cleaned up. I like that he fits. He could be a real interesting Dolphins kind of versatile target. If let's say you go corner and or defensive tackle and you swing back with this kid and you throw him, just don't look at pure guards. Like this guy can play guard too. Because a lot of these tackles this year don't have long arms. It's a short arm group.
He could also be that swing tackle. I mean, there's the swing tackle. I mean, like initially and then roll into a starting role eventually, but he could play either side of tackle.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. He's interesting. Well, everybody's going to remember him from the Senior Bowl, right?
Unfairly.
Talk about what we're not talking about. Yeah, tell him
Mike Green won the rep. Let's just say Mike Green won the rep. But Connolly is one of the best tackles in the game and the prospects out there. So it was unfair that everyone kind of jumped on him for losing that battle. But Mike Green's one of the best pass rushers in the class anyway. So, yes, that's what we're referring to. He did get pretty much beaten in that drill. Yeah. But great prospect.
Yeah.
Please don't hold that against him.
Yeah, he's a second-round guy for me. I know a lot of people had him in
late first.
Yeah, late first. He was interesting enough. He started at running back in high school, right? So that tells you kind of the athleticism that he has. You see what he ran at the combine. He's a great athlete. He struggles with power, man, and that's my concern with him. Really, play strength's an issue for me. But again, pass pro is his game,
right?
And there's a lot of these guys, this athletic ability, and if you're looking for the Dolphins, they like guys who can move, right? He's one of them. But just for a team that needs some physicality up front, I'm looking for more of like an Ezra has the combination of movement skills, size, and power to go along with. That's what separates me from a Connolly, junior. He struggles with. You saw it on the Mike Green clip. If you know what we're talking about, like Jason said, look up on YouTube. Mike Green on a one-on-one drill just pancakes Josh Connolly. And some people who were there said it wasn't fair. Like, I guess he started early or something like that. But I was told Connolly didn't have a great week at the Senior Bowl anyways. he struggles with power, but he's got tantalizing traits as a tackle and a guy who can also play left tackle. Another guy with great movement skills. Wouldn't be somebody for the Dolphins for me, but he's a prospect who probably – what do you think, round 2, Jason?
I still am going to hold that he's going to be one of those like late 20
first?
to 30. Yeah, I'm going to stick to that gun. When I finally – probably once we hit like April 1, I'll put out like my full mock drafts like I did, the last couple of years. But I'll probably put him in the back end of the first round.
Yeah, and one thing on his side is he was like pretty good against Abdul Carter. Like not great. Like Abdul Carter, who's probably the top prospect in this draft, he gives everybody problems. But like if you kind of just hold your own against him, so yeah, he's good and he's really good in pass pro. So yeah, I could see a late first, early second on Connolly. Not for me, for the
top
Dolphins.
40. I'm going to call him top 40 worst case.
Yeah, and also his tape against Washington was real good. So I watched him against Washington and I watched him against Abdul Carter. Now I didn't come away unimpressed, but the lack of play strength and ability, speed to power really gets pushed back in the pocket. Really concerned me. But
needs a power guy.
Yeah,
I get the speed aspect, but if there's one more component that you're adding to this offensive line, I think he needs to be one of the more powerful.
But definitely has the traits to work with. Like he definitely has the pass protection skill and athletic ability and feet that you're looking for. All right, moving on. Wyatt Milam, you want to start on him, Jason?
Yeah, I'll have some fun with this one because
have some fun with it.
One of the best people out there is Kyle Krebs, and he does a phenomenal job. He's nailed it, I think. He comped him to Liam Eichenberg. He's a guy who can play.
Okay, we're moving. He looks like Liam Eichenberg.
I know.
I can't unsee it, Jason. We're skipping him.
I know. He's a guy who could play every position, jack of all trades, master of none. He had like an up and down process in the Senior Bowl, the drills in the game, whatever. I was initially on him as one of those potential, all right, just plug him in anywhere. But then I started to worry about that Liam Eichenberg talk and how much respect that I have for Kyle in it. Yeah, so I'm really almost like, how could we all hate the re-signing of a player, but then welcome a player who might grade out or look or feel similar to that player? So, not saying he's not going to be a good pro, but not for the Dolphins for me.
Yeah, to me, a guy who you move in the guard. He's a nasty guy. Like he's
moving inside for sure.
Yeah. He's tough. He finishes in the run game. Maybe more of a power gap scheme than the outside zone concepts that we run here. Again, short arm guy. Boy, I'm honestly, when I'm looking at him now with the number and everything, I'm having trouble unseeing the Eichenberg stuff.
I mean,
that's a shame because he's a good player. I like him.
Right. It's almost like if any other player was comped to, I would still be kind of on him, because he's got that powerful running game component like West Virginia employs, you know what I mean? Deploys, whatever. Yeah. But I'm haunted by the comparison, man. It's almost like I wish I didn't trust Kyle. But I do.
It's like when I showed you the Deion Walker thin legs thing, and you couldn't unsee it, right?
You know what it was? If you ever seen anyone out there, How I Met Your Mother, there's certain things that the glass breaks. When something is found out about a person and you realize it, like, we should have some, man, I can't unsee it or unhear it. So yeah.
He's a tough kid though. I could see him. I could see him moving in the garden. I could see him like Kansas City drafting this guy though.
Watch my analysis. He'll be the next Graham Barton moving inside the second. Watch. But damn, Kyle Craig. I love you, Kyle.
Maybe we can get Kyle on one day. Yeah?
That would be great. That would be
great. All right. Next guy, Marcus Bowe. He was a basketball player in high school. That's the first thing when I saw that, and I saw that on tape. He's another athletic ability guy. But the thing is, he's small, though. He's just pushing 300 pounds, not tall, but really good. Everything he does is quick. Like his agility, his hand strength, everything is quick. He's got good timing on his pass sets, plays with good angles. Just the upper body strength for me, Jason, again. But another guy. Now, I think he's a guard, right?
Yeah.
So here's my question. He played tackle in college. I believe, did he play in the right side? I'm trying to get to my notes. But while I'm doing that, my question with him is, okay, I'm going to project him in guard. How is he going to handle the upgrade of inside strength versus those men in the middle there? That's my concern with him. How does he handle the strength that he's going to go? Because you're going against more strength when you're moving inside. I'm not sure if this guy can handle that. That's my only concern with him moving inside.
He can do both sides of tackle. I do think that the size restraints will have him better off as guard, but he's one of those versatile guys who, like Milam, he could play anywhere, but he's got to find a home in the NFL, and I think that would be guard.
So you like him at guard? To me, he's
guard.
a second. He's a third round, third round guy for me. I think something could take a chance on him a little higher because of the athletic traits. I was trying to get to the report I had on him. Of course, I didn't put it in order, which I should have done. But I guess I'll.
This would not shock me as a second pick for the Dolphins.
At 48?
Yeah, this would not overly shock me.
Yeah, because he would fit. Like he can move. He's in zone. He moves. He can move really well in the zone. Do not mistake that whatsoever.
Correct. And he's versatile enough that
he didn't run though. I wanted to see him run. I guess his pro day. When was his pro day? I don't think he's had his pro day yet. So I don't know when Purdue's having their pro day. But anyways, yeah, I could see that. Again, my question is inside strength, man. I don't know. I might give him a shot at tackle, maybe a right tackle. I might stick him there for a little bit till he builds his strength. All right. Oh, of course I find him now as we're going on to the next guy after I spent the last 10 minutes looking for the scouting report on him, but I basically said everything I had to say. But yeah, basketball player in high school, really good basketball player. That shows you the kind of agility and athleticism there. But again, strength's the issue, the upper body strength especially. All right. So who was a Greg Zabel guy? It was Fins, right? This guy right here, boy. I will say this about Greg Zabel. If Greg Zabel didn't come from this school and he had the Alabama logo or LSU, we talking top 10 or top 15 with him, Jason.
I think you plug him in anywhere. If any team gets him wherever they need an offensive lineman, he is almost like this year's Graham Barton for real. Like where I think he could be anywhere on a 5 and excel. His stock, yes, blew up from the Senior Bowl week.
Yeah, I like him at tackle. I keep him there. For me, the level of competition and stuff doesn't bother me with him. He went to the Senior Bowl, killed it. You know what I mean? Like Fins NJ said, everybody's hyping up this guy. Well, yeah. Look. Here's the thing. He didn't run, right? But he posted a 36.5-inch vertical leap at the combine, right? So that tells you that's usually a good indicator of overall athleticism and explosion. That'll probably translate to a guy who probably runs in the low 505, 501, something like that. He's tough, excellent footwork, finishes in the run game, killed it at the Senior Bowl. And for guys like him and guys like we had on our show yesterday, Jackson Slater, who also killed it, when you come from that smaller program and you jump up to the guys with the LSU logos on their helmet, the Alabama logos, the Tennessees, the Miamis, and you go up there and you block the Walter Nolans and the Norman Lotts and the, all the great defensive linemen were at the Senior Bowl, that means something. So for me, I think this guy, late first round, you get him, plug him in day one. Again, short arms, right? So you can play him at guard. But I think I'm fine with him at tackle. I love his footwork. I love the tenacity he plays with in the run blocking when he finishes runs. Scheme versatile, good on the second level. Like when we say combo blocks, is mean when you're switching off from a defensive end to a linebacker, switching off in the second level. Something the Dolphins will have to do a lot, and they ask their offensive linemen to do a lot. I love Greg Zabel. I think if he wasn't from this small school, we'd be talking him in top 10 or 15. I just think there's not much not to like about him.
He's probably going to be very beneficial, if not the Dolphins, for a team that has like a bona fide pocket passer. He's such a good pass protector, and I see him as kind of one of those guys who takes pride into not letting his quarterback get touched. So wherever he plays, I think he's going to be a stud. This guy is a ready-made stud. Yeah,
and the thing is, like, I looked at the Colorado tape, which is not like they don't have unbelievable defensive end prospects, right? But like, I watched the Colorado tape. It's a bigger school. He did well. He did really good. So, like, again, and the jump up to the Senior Bowl, give me signs that the competition is not going to be an issue for him. I think he's a late first-round guy or somewhere in the 20s. I agree. We both like this kid, right? Yeah. I don't think the Dolphins will have their chance to kind of snag this kid, though.
No. If the Dolphins make a
trade back option, yeah, that's fine.
Sure, circle him as one of those guys that if they move back into the 20s and still get their guy, that would be phenomenal, but not at 13. And I don't think he'll be there at 48 either.
No, I don't think. If he's there at 48, no question, this is a pick. Yeah.
If that's not, absolutely.
Okay. I love this kid. I'm just telling you that right now.
Go for it.
You know me, when I step up to the mic and I go, I love a kid, that means I love him, right?
That's all you, man.
Pick 98 here, right? We're looking for I'm not saying he's Teron Armstead, but we're looking for that replacement, right? Third round, pick 98, or one of those 2 4th-round picks. Yes, Steve is right. Hit that like button, folks. Thank you, Steve. Don't get me off here. I'm romanticizing about Charles Grant here. The competition with him scares me more, right? Because I didn't see him the games that they were against really good teams, he missed. But my gosh, what you want a guy in this kind of school is you want a guy who dominates. Like, he's at a small school, but you better dominate every rep. He does. The lateral mobility, the wingspan. He didn't start playing football till like his junior year in high school, Jason. That's when he started playing. The reach, the zone blocking, and the run. I mean, he fits what the Dolphins would prototypically look for in a left tackle. If he's there at 98 or pick one, whatever they have in the 4th round, I would be absolutely in love with this kid, Charles Grant, as a Miami Dolphin.
It's a scheme fit. It's a scheme fit for sure, and he's got terrific athleticism. Yeah,
I love it. I'm banging the table.
I don't mind the small school aspect here. You know, the athleticism and what he could bring with playing in the right scheme. I think he could be a good fit too. You said 3rd round, that would be fine.
Or 4th, and William, he could go higher than that. Like, look, predicting rounds is going to be hard, right? We're giving you a range. It's like free agency money here, range, right? But William and Mary, don't ask me how I know this. They run a lot of outside zone concepts too there. So that's what you got to look for. That's what the Dolphins run. They're not going to go get this guy who's just a power gap guy and all of a sudden put him in, unless they're changing the complete offense, which I don't think they're doing. But yeah, I'm banging the table for him he's not a guy I'm confident day one coming in and starting, but like in the 4th round, again, I'm going to mention this over and over again. I'm not totally sold at Patrick Paul at left tackle for the future yet. Like, in 3 years, he's your left tackle, probably can move inside and kind of swing inside a little bit. Now he needs to get stronger, but man, his movement skills are impressive. Everybody's
I'm not sold on Paul. You know, I'm hoping that he takes that spot. He's a 2nd round pick from last year. You really are hoping that he takes over for Armstead if Armstead retires. But again, there's a lot of these guys that are good in your mind if you don't have 2 tackles already. I want a guard. You know what I mean? I just want that pure guard, but
yeah, I know this is not the pure guard.
Yeah, exactly.
If we go guard, I'm saying if we're going to double dip on this. This is more of let my offensive line coach get his hands on him, and then we have a true tackle here that fits what we like to do, and we got him because he's, remember, a guy who just started playing in high school and played for a smaller school. We're getting a guy here that has the traits of somebody who should go a lot higher than this, and I think good coaching will help this guy out.
Yeah,
that's my sell on Charles Grant. Chris Greer, if you're listening, I know you're not. And if you are listening, come on the show.
Yeah. Not busy at all. No, not busy at all.
Yeah, not busy, right? Apparently not. You know, Liam.
Apparently not. Right, exactly.
Sammy.
Thank
you, Sammy.
My guy.
Appreciate it, man. All right, let's move on. I'll let you hit on Jalen. You brought this name to me. I didn't do much. I just did recently do a little bit on him. What are your thoughts here on Jalen Travis? What do you like about him?
I love the size. Middle round pick who could play right side tackle or right or left tackle. I think he could be. If the Dolphins go interior, you know, in the first couple of picks, and they're looking at day 3 to get a swing tackle, I think he could win the job. I honestly think that Jalen Travis could win. Smart kid, went to I think it was an Ivy Leaguer before he transferred over to Iowa State. Princeton, exactly. So that size, the smarts, and the versatility to play swing tackle mixed with a potential round 4 or 5 pick, I think there's nothing to not like about that potential. So I'm going to be tracking where this kid goes.
I like that. I'm living there in that 4th or 5th round. I like where you're living. I wouldn't go 3rd. I like where you're living 4th or 5th round with him. Do you like him at left or right tackle, Jason? That's a question I have. I was looking at because he can't play inside. He's too tall.
Again, probably would just like the swing tackle aspect of where he can handle both sides. But if I'm going for, I'd go with the right side because
Yeah, I lean there too.
I'd probably go with the right side. If it's Dolphins specific, I go with the right side because you know
By the way, he was a heck of a high school basketball player, apparently.
that side,
Yeah,
yeah,
all state.
absolutely.
So he's got some movement skills. I like what I saw. He plays upright, but that's a lot from his height. Like he's a 4th round, 5th round pick to me. And you take your shot here, swing
Good
tackle,
project.
left.
Yep.
I agree with you. I wouldn't have a problem. Everybody, if you're watching anywhere but YouTube, come on, join us. We're going through the draft prospects, the offensive line. Hit that subscribe little bell button. I know we keep asking, it's a pain in the butt, but it really helps out the channel and just really takes a second. Also, hit that like button. Thank you guys. All right, let's move on to the next guy. Now we're moving to the pure guards, right?
Yeah.
He's interesting. You want to start with Tyler Booker?
I mean, he's a guy that a lot of people would love the Dolphins to get at 13. Do I necessarily would I think that's a bad play? No, but he's probably the best 1 or 2 pure guards in this draft. So coming from Alabama, obviously the pedigree there, and is his run blocking phenomenal? I don't know, but he is one of the top tier guards who is a pure guard, and that's what the Dolphins need. So it wouldn't shock me if they're thinking of this guy. You trade back and you draft him.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, I think people got scared off when they saw him run the 5.38. Yeah, I don't know. Like, look, he's a physical like power guy, right? That's what he to me fits more of that power gap run system, right? I don't know if he fits exactly with the Dolphins,
right?
But what I'll say about him, I'm not totally ready to rule that out. This guy started for Alabama against really good competition. Like to think he can't play in some space. I don't think lateral movement is his biggest strength. Like his quickness is his biggest strength. And the outside zone scheme will be a concern for me. But as far as anchor power, kind of heavy-handed guy, and character and leader, this guy's all that. If you're trying to get more physical up front and you think there's enough there to run that kind of outside zone stuff with him, the zone scheme with him, then you do it. I wouldn't do it at 13. I don't think they'll do it at 13, even though they love Alabama. I just don't know if it lines up with the Dolphins. But if you're trying to get physical up front, there's nothing better than this kid in the draft. And he's got a ton of starting experience at one of the Power 5 big conferences. So I think he's a top 20 guy, 25 guy in this draft. Maybe not for a team like the Dolphins, though.
I mean, the Dolphins need a power component from their guards to help in the rushing attack, but they also need a guy who can get out in space effectively. In addition to that, there are a few guys who could do both of those things. So, while I love his physicality for a team that needs him in the majority of those type of runs and plays, like Baltimore Ravens, probably great for a guy like him. Just like,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean. So,
or Pittsburgh or something like that.
Right, guys with running backs that just go right up.
He's a downhill mauler, man. Like that's what he is. To me, he's a day one starter though in the right system for you. Like that's no doubt for me. So Dolphins, I know a lot of teams had a mock there. Not sure it's a fit for the Dolphins. Yeah,
too early.
Probably too early. I think if they're going to take one, it's going to be somebody who's a tackle with guard conversion because there's so many of these guys. All right, let's move on to the next guy.
Guy.
Yeah.
That's
okay. So
that's another one of your guys.
That's one of my guys. Okay. Now I'm glad he ran the 4.95. He was a right tackle, by the way, at Arizona. But like when you look at this guy, he's just massive. Like he's the Samoans, they got the thick calves, thick limbs. He just looks like, you see him running at the combine. He's just thick, massive dude. Here's the thing. I know some people say scheme fit. I'm glad he ran that because everybody said he wasn't athletic enough. And when I saw a tape, I go, yeah, he's athletic enough. But remember, my eyes are moving into right guard, right? Not right tackle. Can he play right tackle? Absolutely. You move this guy in right guard, some of the weaknesses that I see with him, like the struggle versus the speed rusher, stuff like that, becomes less of a problem. And the strengths he has become enhanced. Like the thick frame, the ability, the heavy hands, the strong punch that he has. He moves people. He jolts people. All right. This guy cannot be moved. He's that kind of guy, right? And you bring him inside. He's a guy we said enough 4.95, sub 540. That's 10-yard split in 172. You line him up against all these guys athletically. There's not many who are going to have better numbers than that for a guard. So again, we talked about Booker not being the athlete, but we wanted that physical presence and a guy who's athletic enough to play in that scheme. This is your guy here. I said I would take him at 13. Joking, but not joking. Trade back in the 20s. I would take him. And my gosh, if he's there at 48, like I don't know what would be the problem here. I know some people say scheme fit. I think he's plenty athletic enough. I mean, I do. To me, he's a late first round, and you can play him, at right tackle. But I think in a few years, like he's a Pro Bowl right guard in 3 or 4 years. Like that's how I see him, Jason.
For sure, guard. I mean, again, this is one of those great scenarios where you can put him at guard. If it's the right side, you move Daniels. If you're the Dolphins, over to the left guard, and there you go. I think he could do, he can get out in space and handle himself well for what the Dolphins would need him to do. And I also think he's a fine pass protector. So this would be a 48th overall pick. That would be a home run if the Dolphins take care of one of their other top heavier needs. Defensive line, like right now, defensive line could be a heavier need than any one of these linemen. Yeah. And if you match up with him in the second round with a defensive lineman, that would be a hell of a 1-2 punch. So he's one of the 3 or 4 multi-use guys that are definitely on my target level for sure.
Yeah. He's not Penny Sewell, but he's not that type of player, but he has that kind of build that those Samoan, they're built like this guy, that thick frame. He's obviously not the athlete or the player that Sewell was, but like at guard, I mean, I could see Detroit taking him. So whatever pick they have in round 2 or late round 1,
28, I think they're at.
Yeah, you stick him next to Sewell. You try to get through that right side of that.
Yeah,
line.
Right.
All right. He's one of my Donovan. I know you're a big Donovan Jackson guy.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, look, he's a guard that can handle himself in a pinch because he helped out with the Jonathan Simmons injury. So I like him at guard. Play him at guard. I think he can help your running attack, and he would be a phenomenal fit at a second rounder. But I don't know if he's a first rounder at 13, but he could be a 26th, 30th overall pick. But another one of those perfect. Let's trade back. Let's also get him and get another pick guy. That would be fun.
Yeah, the first thing I noticed about Donovan Jackson, he's a pure left guard. Like for me, you stick him at left guard.
Which makes complete sense for the Dolphins at this exact moment.
He actually played tackle for them too with injuries to Simmons. He played some tackle.
Yeah.
And he actually did pretty well against Abdul Carter. Like, again, I'm going to keep mentioning that name because it was a unique year for like Abdul Carter facing like the big time offensive tackles this year. But like what I noticed with him is his football IQ, his ability to read the stunts, the twist. He's just a really solid player. Nothing stood out to me, like overwhelming his traits, but like just a really good, high football intelligence, knows how to play left guard in the guard position, comes in early, starts for you. Footwork can be erratic, the redirect, recovery skills, but I'm less worried about that inside. I think he's got enough athleticism. He's a solid athlete, good punch, but the IQ stands out. Just a guy who understands what the defense is trying to do on the stunts and the twist. He reads them really well. I think that stands out to me as the IQ. Solid player, clean, safe.
Kind of a
spectacular, not a home run. You're hitting a double with him. And if you hit a double with him at 48, you go Kenneth Grant at 13, Donovan Jackson at 48. How's that?
That's
in the chat. Do you hate that?
That's a double trench. Trench.
Anybody who like that, hit the like button. That's how many people like that. Anybody like that?
If they could do something like that, it might not scream, phenomenal pick, but they're no brainers almost. If you could just take care of the trenches, this is a guy
physical. Start the transition, right?
Yep.
You can't.
Speed's great. Speed's great, but you need some physicality.
Start the transition. You can't complete it in one off season. Okay. We both like Donovan Jackson. I know you're big on him. 48, you do it, right?
Oh God, yeah. Run the tick. I mean, again, if that's what you want, if you took care of the defense any which way, he just has to be the guy at 48 if he's there. Has to be.
Another guy you like, huh?
Yeah, a little bit deeper in, a little bit deeper in the draft, day 3 maybe, or late round 3. Looking for guards. You're looking for on that interior, and Frazier could be a solid pickup.
Yeah, interesting tidbit about him. He began his career at FIU.
Yes, and
he was an All-American there.
And I want someone who is featured as a powerful run blocker, and that's what I like about his game, and that's what we need to add into the interior for the Dolphins. Not, it's the third and fourth and inches. You need to have some more of a running component to pick that up forward. And I think he can help in that.
Yeah, he started at right guard throughout his whole career. He's a right guard. Run blocking is where I think is where he excels at, right? I'm weird. I told you about the Deion Walker kind of thin legs. The small hands bother me, right? It's because of the grip strength, and when you're playing offensive line, that grip strength and your punch is a big deal to create that anchor and hold that anchor. He sometimes is late to his punch, and what I mean by late to your punch is the first guy to get their hands inside the chest usually is going to hold the anchor and win, right? And he gets there late sometimes, and that allows him to kind of lose his leverage and balance. I don't know if the small hands have anything to do with that. I'm a kind of sucker for those things like that. That with the Deion Walker stuff already, but good pop-on contact, powerful in the run game. Started at FIU. I like that. I like that little tidbit that I found out about him. Third, fourth round. I think he might go day 2 though. I think teams like him day 2. He's played at LSU. He's got starting ability. He's looking through my notes. I saw he had a good Senior Bowl week. I watched the South Carolina game. It's pretty good. 4-year starter at right guard. Really good at sealing. Another thing I saw is like he seals and turns defenders inside or outside really well. Like he has a knack for the timing of that. That's the little things you look at. I like him. Again, pick 98.
Yeah.
Okay with that.
Yep. It's all the run blocking for me.
And we still got Butch Barry. So yeah.
Say what you want.
Yeah. All right.
Go
ahead. Are you banging the table? Is this your sell the people on him, Jason? Sell the people.
I think this is the guy who could be
48.
It's almost like Richie Incognito. Same kind of player in my mind. Same kind of guy. He's like kind of like lunch pail kind of guy. I think that he's going to take pride into beating people to the ground. I think he'll be a fun player. He's a guy who could pass protect, getting out of the next level. I think he does everything very, very well. I've been seeing him drafted in the 3rd round, late 2nd. It'll be interesting. I think that he's going to be a 2nd round pick ultimately. I think that the ceiling is like 62 or something. But
remember, we have a gap between 48
and 98.
So you got to take him at 48 or you're not getting him.
Correct.
That's why I want to trade back.
If the Dolphins are able to, in my mocks, my fun Dolphin-centric mocks, you trade back to 20.
We're gonna do one on this show
sure.
too. Yeah,
for sure. You trade back from 13 to 20. You're still able to get a defensive lineman or a cornerback or a safety, and then with the extra pick, not 48, with like 57 or 63 that you pick up in that mock trade, Ratledge is your guy.
Yeah,
that would be amazing. I think he's going to spike. I think he's going to be drafted in the top 50.
I think he's right around where we pick, and that's.
I do think he's going to be drafted in the top 50 ultimately. But if he's around in the 60s and you could trade up for him, this is the guy you can go.
So
he's not going to be around 98.
Let's say Shamar Stewart in round 1, Tate Rutledge in round 2. How do you feel about that? Are you having?
I wouldn't hate that at all.
Yeah,
I wouldn't hate that.
I love throwing the combos scenarios out, and anybody in the chat, you guys have any of those?
Well, you have to
scenarios you like in round 1 or 2. Please, I would love to get your guys' thoughts on that.
You have to look at your potential of who you're passing on. If you're passing on a position in the 1st, can you get something comparable in the 2nd?
Right.
And there are positional drop-offs in certain rounds. You know what I mean? Like if you don't get a safety in the top 3-4 rounds, there's really no point to getting a safety again. You could wait on a running back or a tight end to the 4th, 5th, 6th round, but defensive lineman, could you get one in the 3rd and 4th? Possibly. Could you get a guy like Tate Ratledge day 3? No.
The thing with him is, nasty dude. Like
that's what you need.
I mean,
that's
power, holds the anchor. No, at the point of attack, he's nasty. Good athlete, ran under sub 5 in the 40. The thing with him, there's no versatility. He is a right guard.
But that is fine.
I'm okay with that.
I'm fine with that.
What we've done every year is draft guys. Oh, he's a tackle, left tackle. Let's play him at center. You know what I mean?
Right.
No, he knows what he's doing. You line him up at right guard day one, and watch out. Right? He's just. He has another guy we're going to talk about next. His teammate, right? Fairchild. But the difference with this kid is, he's power. He plays with the demeanor that they need. They need this kind of player, right? This is the kind of player they need. Attitude, toughness, athletic ability, all these kind of things you mentioned. Richie Incognito, he combined all those things. I'm not comparing him to Richie, but like, right. Jason, that's what you're saying.
It would remind me of that. It would remind me of that type of a player. And that's what the Dolphins need. And again, you have James Daniel, you move him to left guard because he has the ability to do that. Yeah. And then you have your ready-made 10-year potential right guard in Ratledge.
Yeah, and Daniels has experience at both spots, so you don't got to worry. He's a veteran. This kid, you plug him in at right guard, and you go from day one there with him. And I
bring the mullet to Miami.
Yeah, bring the mullet to Miami. And I like too. Remember I told you I like to watch him against NFL guys, and I watched him against Alfred Collins versus Texas. Held his own. Alfred's going to be
big boy,
top 40, 45 pick. Yep. Big boy and good player. So, yeah. Let's move on to his teammate. I think we got a couple more guys. Fairchild. Okay. Here's the difference between him and why we like Rutledge more, or at least I do. First of all, he's a state champ wrestler. I love wrestlers.
Got the leverage.
We love them. Yeah, the stuff they do with their hands, it helps them. That pass in wrestling really helps them. He doesn't have the elite power that you would think he does. He doesn't play with elite power. Guys get into his frame and actually move him back. He's better in pass pro than he is at run pro, actually. He resets his hands quick. Like when he loses, he can reset them, and that's probably from the wrestling background. He's a solid athlete, but I think the difference between his teammate is the power that Rutledge plays with versus Fairchild. You really see that on film, and he's not quite as good of his run blocker, obviously, as Rutledge.
I mean, it wouldn't shock me if the Dolphins look at him as a day 3 and maybe pick him in, round 4 or 5. But, a left guard, pure left guard, I think. Maybe he can play right, but I like his teammate Ratledge a heck of a lot better than Fairchild. No offensive to Fairchild. I just think Ratledge is a better pro prospect.
Here's the thing, though, what I do like about Fairchild. It doesn't look pretty, man, all the time. But, dude, he gets the job done. It's kind of the same thing, different player. But, like, I remember last year, Dominic Puny, when I was going over players, he didn't test out well. People said he couldn't do that. I said, but, like, he just gets the job done. Like, he finds a way in the run game, even though he's not the best at it, just finds a way. And Dominic Puny's had a great rookie year and career so far. It doesn't look pretty, man. The guys are going to look prettier than him, but he still finds a way to do it and at the left guard position. So I wouldn't count against this guy, and I wouldn't count him being a third-round pick. Because playing at Georgia, that experience. I like the way he battles, and I like the wrestling background. Those are always like Zach Frazier had last year. All right, I think this is our last guy. And guys, there's more guys, but we couldn't fit them all in.
It's a position of need. It's an area of need.
So much. All right, we'll bring it home here with the last guy with the University of Miami, Jalen Rivers. Kind of a lungering, kind of big, massive play tackle, left tackle at UM. Great play strength, hard to move, but the quick, short area quickness and the feet. Maybe kick him inside. He's got some size. To me, you're looking in the round 5 area.
5, 6, yeah.
5, 6.
Sure.
Maybe he goes late 4. Somebody falls in love with him because I think he did have a pretty good pre-draft process at the Senior Bowl. Yeah, big lungering. I mean, guys, I know you probably watched him at but kind of the bigger kind of lumbering tackle, hard to move, really good at the anchor and the point of attack, but not the quickest and most athletic guy. So maybe a home inside or maybe a right tackle. Definitely not a left tackle for me. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, I think that he could play tackle, but there's flexibility to go either guard. I think either right tackle or either of the interior positions. I think he's a local kid that the Dolphins are going to take a flyer on. If it's round 5 or 6, sure, why not? If he'll definitely get drafted. He's not an undrafted.
No, he's drafted.
But like his power potential, not the most athletic guy in the world, but I like his flexibility and his power.
Yeah. So that wraps up the group, and Finn's NJ. This is a way to wrap it up. Here is she likes it pretty deep at O line. Yeah, I think it's deep in the terms of for the Dolphins tackles.
Yeah.
That if there wasn't so many tackle conversions to guard in this draft, it wouldn't be as deep in the interior. But I think that what makes it deep is a lot of these tackles have more guard traits, like the arm length is not there. They fit more inside. So I think that's what makes it deep. But the guard group alone is not deep. I don't think the interior part. But when you add these guys that can move inside, I think it widens out the list and longens the list a little bit to make it kind of deep. And there's plenty more guys. Anybody we didn't mention off the top?
Well, Jackson Slater, who we had on
Jackson Slater, yeah.
You know,
we didn't make his because I basically gave a scouting report yesterday on him, which he loved, and he's going to hire me apparently as his agent. But yeah, let me tell you something about Jackson Slater, man. He's another guy. He's a top 100 player. I think a third, fourth round pick. We said it on the show. You're getting a 10-year starter, a guy like Zabel, who you're getting better value because he played at a small school, and another guy who played well at the Senior Bowl. So the best of luck to Jackson Slater. We loved having him on the show. Great kid. And if the Dolphins draft him, he said he made a deal. He's going to come back on the show. So we hope the Dolphins draft him, right?
No, we wish him the best of luck. He's a guy who could fit into what the Dolphins are doing. And if you haven't checked out the show from yesterday, it's on Fins Faithful on YouTube. Check it out. Shameless plug there.
Yeah.
But he brought a lot to the table in that interview, and he's the kind of guy I think they could take a lot of pride into both aspects, whether it's setting up a run, pass pro. He's one of those well-rounded interior guard linemen.
Yeah. So what do we got next week, Jason? Do we know what we're doing? Do we have an idea?
We know we got people coming on.
Yeah.
We know we got.
We might have another interview. Yeah.
We got some surprises coming, and in terms of the positions, we'll see. We'll see what we got. We'll see what the rest of the waves of free agency happens in the next couple of days.
Yeah, I know, and we'll put all the passion reports on all the positions. We'll take a look at them all. I appreciate everybody in the chat: Fins, NJ, DSG, Luna, everybody who was a Beach Wave. Kenny was in the chat. I mean, there was a bunch of people in the chat. Cap, we appreciate it. We appreciate that you see that we put the time and effort and passion. If you want passion, you want information, you want guys who love the Dolphins, this is the place for you guys. And so please, I appreciate it so much. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. So we'll see you guys next week on the on-season Thursday. I will be back on Monday with the show. Don't know what quite direction we're going yet. I usually figure it out by the weekend, but Thursday we have the on-season 8 p.m. and we could potentially have something on Wednesday. We don't know yet. We're still working on that. And I know Jason's got a couple of things up his sleeve, so we're not going to let that out of the bag. But we appreciate everybody who joined the channel today and watched the show. We hope you enjoyed it. Thank you guys. As always, guys, we are out.